You know, another trend we've been seeing a lot in automotive is the trend to make vehicles lighter and more fuel efficient, and which is really driven by the corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE for an acronym, standards, which are actually set forth by the government. And those standards can and will continue to be a driving factor for the growth of plastics in the automotive industry. For those who are not familiar, the CAFE standards are essentially regulations that every OEM who sells a vehicle in the USA needs to adhere to or be hit with a strict penalty of $55 per vehicle for every 1 mile per gallon over the standard sold within the US. And some say this number is too small. Although there have been a fair amount of wrestling back and forth on the numbers depending on which side of the political aisle you're on, to me, the message here is clear. Keep gaining efficiencies or eat away at margins. And in my mind, unless these efficiency numbers miraculously get more conservative, we aren't going to continue to reach these levels of fuel efficiencies without electrification and plastics to help us get there. Here you can see the current agreed upon CAFE standards by model year through 2025. And here you can see graphically the OEM's performance against these standards since 2004. These aggressive CAFE standards are forcing the OEMs to look at lightweight materials in order to improve upon fuel efficiencies. In order to achieve a lighter part weight while maintaining structural integrity and dimensional tolerances, we find ourselves working with customers who are looking to precisely dose and meter chemical foaming agent, or CFA, into their mold. The chemical reaction that occurs during molding causes a much lighter part with the use of much less material. Compared to virgin resin, chemical foaming agent conservatively costs an average 3 times more than a natural resin. So the amount of CFA dosed has to be precise and repeatable to ensure the proper gassing occurs in the tool. The high material costs coupled with the repeatable dosing requirements have been a great fit for Conair's TrueFeed and gravimetric batch blenders. Our patented rotating dispense cylinder on our TrueFeed gravimetric feeder dispenses with exceptional accuracy, even rates as low as 0.02 grams per second. Along with lightweighting comes the additional concerns for structural integrity. And while glass-filled materials have been prevalent in automotive for many, many years, the amount of glass-filled materials we're handling has really spiked over the last few years. One additional type of reinforcement that has made a comeback is long glass-filled polypropylene, which, as its name implies, is much longer than a traditional pellet, around 10 millimeters in length. This material can cause a real challenge if not handled correctly. Some of the issues we've seen in the field include the material supply has been inconsistent, number one, with the various manufacturing facilities who make this material, and this is a lot-to-lot inconsistencies we're seeing, not just between manufacturers. Number two, with traditional dilute phase conveying, this material will absolutely fracture due to excessive conveying velocities, and when this occurs, the fines, due to their length, create major challenges with small orifices such as feeders, blenders, injection molding feed throats. With traditional dilute phase conveying, this material will absolutely destroy even heavily reinforced material contact points. So, how do you solve some of these challenges? The long glass-filled fibers generated during dilute phase conveying are great at binding over material separation screens on receivers. Even when filter cleaning is incorporated with compressed air or other methods, we're still finding those screens getting bound over very, very quickly. Which is why Conair has successfully deployed our filterless receiver and eliminated the screen altogether. You can see some behind us here. The reverse cyclone effect does a great job at separating the fines from the good resin. The absence of the filter separator in our FL has been very effective in bolstering our customers' uptime. When it comes to blending this challenging material, Conair also has you covered with its customized dosing valve solutions, which equate to greater accuracy and consistent dosing, even when a wad of fines are trying to choke off a dosing valve. Our feed-forward algorithm means we'll get the batch right or trigger an alarm immediately, rather than making up for it in the next batch. So when it comes to doing your part in solving your lightweighting challenges, look to Conair and compete with confidence.